Welcome in, everybody, to another riveting episode of The Right Stuff, a Blood Bowl podcast brought to you by Empire Games, coming out of sometimes lovely, always shuffling towards death, Anderson, South Carolina. I'm Yannie, here with Nathan, and I walked in the store and I'm immediately recording after getting back from Arkansas, so
yeah,
this is fun.
Yeah, and you've shaved, which is very disorienting for me. It won't be disorienting for those listening to the podcast, because once again, this is an audio medium instead of a visual medium.
We can make it disorienting for them. Scott is brave enough to make a new logo for the podcast. So, yeah, we've got, typical of this season. We've got catch-up games. Got some new games to talk about. Some people played ahead. So, it's a whole gamut of games.
Yeah, just when you think the league is back on track, we get dragged back into the swamp.
Yeah.
We got a real bog body situation going on here of time preserved for years to come, where it's who knows whenever this league is actually going to finish.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'll still finish in an approximate time. It's just there's going to be a whole bunch of games that get crammed into like 1 week. So
yeah,
hope people feel like having a tournament in a league.
Style, right.
Essentially.
Yeah. We've got a couple active win streaks right now. We would be talking about this like under normal circumstances a little bit more, right? When everybody's at different points in the leagues, it's hard to like know relative how well teams are doing to others, but some of the people who are current, there's 2 active 4-game win streaks, which I think is worth noting, because I do think both of those players are on the rise. Like their teams are looking difficult to beat. So
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we can just jump in some of these recaps. We got one week 5 game, Darn Tootin' and Rat Patooey.
Yep.
It's a 3-0 win for the Dwarves.
Yeah. And, so the interesting thing here is that I think it was after this game, or perhaps it was before this game, Jurgen rolled another stat up on the 4-strength runner, and then he hit another strength up. So Jurgen has a 5-strength runner on this team. And on Dwarves, we were just talking about how you like eye cage. You just put a guard dude in front, a guard dude behind, and then put the 5-strength dude in the middle. And your opponent, if they run in with a 3-strength dude, it's 3 dice, your choice, if they try to blitz you, which is wild.
Yeah. It's like you don't even have to give the illusion of trying to protect this player at this point. They are just, they can run off by themselves. It's like, what are you going to do? Bring 3 people over to get
I mean, Griff is 7-speed, 4-strength, right? I don't think we've ever seen an 8-speed, 5-strength player, with the exception of maybe the Dark Elf that Juan had.
Yeah.
I don't know. This player looks... So the noteworthy thing here is that this player has sure hands, and Juan made that Dark Elf a legend without giving him any sort of strip ball protection, which I think was incredibly greedy. And I wasn't going to tell him that in person, but there's no way to stop that from happening now, because I think he maxed out that character.
Right.
And so Monstrous Mouth or something, right? Because I think the way you deal with a character like that is hit him with strip ball, whatever it takes. You just need something to get the ball out of their hands and then get it far away from them and play some sort of denial strategy from there. So yeah, I think Jurgen. I was going to say I made notes of this somewhere else, but his team basically has the mandate of heaven at this point.
Yep.
You're not going to get 2 strengths ups on the same character without some sort of extra dimensional entity looking after you. So
yeah, I now feel compelled to try to get a 6-strength Jaguar as the one person who could beat the 5-strength runner, although his will still be faster. So
right,
where's that going to put me? I think the question at that point is like, what's the final skill you're giving that player?
It's probably dodge. I mean, maybe you still go for another stat up, but I think that's like 50 SPP or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is, what, 17 touchdowns?
I mean, it's got 30 already, so he's got time to make it.
So, but I don't hate dodge, just because that makes it harder to knock that player down. Yeah. You already have to give up a whole bunch of stuff to try to get something that's going to have enough strength to hit a 5-strength player. One of the things that you're probably going to have to give up is like tackle, right? If you're going to hit it with a big guy. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, it's probably dodge. So.
Yeah. All right. So that was our week 5 game. We got a couple week 6 games to talk. First off, we got our new entry to the league on the side. Nate with the Goblins looking for trouble, and Soul Peak Dooms.
Yes.
Yeah, they got a 2-1 win there. Doing some Goblin mayhem.
Yeah, and due to the temporal flux nature of the league, this was actually Nate's 3rd game that he played, because he ended up playing his games out of order to try to get caught up. I will salute Nate for joining the league and then playing 3 games in a week, making up for lost time. He had mentioned a couple of times that he was regretting not playing in the league, and so 3 games of goblins in a week is probably more goblining than I could muster. So
yeah, we came in, did some immediate damage in this game. It's kind of
the Soul Peak Dooms probably wish they hadn't played this game. You had 2 players die. A zombie dying is no big deal, but like a ghoul dying kind of sucks. And then a movement down on a guard mummy is brutal.
Yeah,
that's like, you have to debate whether you send that character upstate or not, just because having to roll a 4+ to stand up that's awful on a mummy.
Yeah.
But then again, having guard means it's more likely to not get knocked out. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, difficult to say. He also had another movement down in that game on a ghoul, which
which had skills too, as a sure hands ghoul.
Yeah.
I don't think you can fire that character. It just sucks.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So,
2 skills is really hard to replace at this point.
Yeah. You've only got like a handful of games left, depending on how well you've been keeping up with your games.
You're right.
So, yeah. Another week 6 game was my game against the Skate and Blight Skitter Stars, or whatever the game's called. I don't know. It wasn't really like, my recap of this game is it wasn't really much of a game. It's one of those things where it's like, you just know, like, as soon as the initial kickoff is rolled, there's like, your fate is sealed.
Yeah.
Like, Coop won the roll. We kick off. It's a vicious ref. We both get hit, but since he is the one that's receiving the ball, he has more people on the line, and both of us lose someone on the line, just get stunned. And he takes, I think, like 3 people off the pitch on that first turn.
Ooh.
So yeah, I was just like, I had 3 people left going into turn 8, and I got 0 knockouts back out of 3. So that's just like, clean half, I guess. The Radiger fell down twice, couldn't punish it. So I'm expecting a storing of karmic justice for some potential rematch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think one of the big things that happens is, obviously, you mentioned Nate playing catch-up games. One of his catch-up games was Coop before this game, which the Radiger got 2 casualties and an MVP, so he was able to get tackle.
Yeah, and Prehensile Tail tackle's a nightmare for Amazons.
Yeah, I couldn't really get away with it. Bomber was ridiculous, which I think we should do. We could do an entire hour on Bomber.
Yeah,
at some point.
I made. He's at 32 appearances in 104 matches, so he's at over 30% currently.
Yeah, taken twice as often as Morg.
Yeah,
yeah. So.
Yeah, and that's like the Snotling teams are taking Morg every time they play, just about. So
yeah, I will reserve my hatred for Bomber in this moment, but I think we could fix Bomber.
Yeah, he needs to cost like 150 or more.
And should only play for bribery and corruption. Definitely, no tier 1 team should be able to take Bomber.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense on Skaven, right?
Absolutely not. Yeah. No way.
They need, like, if they wanted like a Warp Flame Bomber thrower dude, but like themed for Skaven or something like that, that would be fine. But Bomber on Skaven's kind of absurd. Bomber on Orcs is absurd. Bomber,
they don't need it.
Yeah,
no. But
Bomber on Goblins is fine.
Exactly, that's the thing. Give them to the teams that
Snotlings have 2 rostered bombers for some reason.
Yeah.
So.
Some teams can do it. Skaven should not have access to that. Or make a Lustrian bomber.
Yeah.
So I can fight back.
Right.
Give me something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was that game. Yeah. So.
Yeah. The next game.
Next game up, we have any other week 6s. I think that was it.
I think the Skaven Blight Skitter Stars versus Looking for Trouble was in that mix somewhere.
Yeah, he's somewhere in here.
That might have been a week 5 game. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it was a week 7 one. Like I said,
it was 7.
That
was a 2-0 win.
Yeah, we have a bunch of timey-wimey stuff happening.
Yeah,
it's hard to keep track of from
Yeah. Yes. PSA, please play games in a way that makes sense for us as we go through. But yeah, that was a 2-0. My game happened immediately after this, and it seemed like Nate just was not having good dice.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. He entered the league, gave a bunch of SPP to Coop, didn't do damage to his team. He didn't take a ton of damage, which is actually kind of surprising for Goblins. Mm-hmm. I think the last several times I've played Goblins, I've always put 5 casualties on the team. Regardless of the team that I'm playing. Mm-hmm. Goblins, if you've got the right skills, Goblins just explode. So the fact that he got out of that game without a ton of damage was something.
Yeah.
And I think it probably has to do with the fact that Bomber just probably got straight up dispelled to start with. So.
Yeah, turns out that's really good. It's a good way to keep Bomber off the field.
Yeah. And I think Skaven are bad for the stunty teams because, especially if you have a secret weapon heavy plan, gutter runners can just score, and now you got to roll for your bribes.
Yeah.
And the fact that gutter runners are 2 strength means they're at parity with stunties, and so your stunty players are really slow, and you can probably swarm whoever their ball carrier is in the backfield, depending on what the kick looks like, just with gutter runners. And the gutter runners have skills and aren't stunty, so in a straight up fight, the gutter runner is actually at an advantage compared to a goblin or whatever. Right. And they're actually, the stunties are lucky that the gutter runners no longer have a knife, because in previous versions of the game, gutter runners had stab. They had something called Weeping Blade or whatever that they could stab people with. So
I bring it back.
Yeah, I'm glad that it's not in the game, because I already hate gutter runners, and if the gutter runners could also stab, they'd be absurd.
Okay, we're on to our week 8 games now. We got some of these. All right, first one up I've got is Arbor Vitae and Oops, mostly Nurglings. That was one that we were kind of anticipating.
Oh yeah,
last week, and it was a 2-1 win for
the
Wills.
I would put this game as an anti-climax.
Yeah,
sort of. The Wood Elves executed their game plan of get up ahead in touchdowns before you have to worry about the fact that you don't have a team. Mm-hmm. It actually looked pretty scarily early on, because the tree man went down early in that game, and I was expecting the floodgates to open if the tree man's gone. Mm-hmm. But sometimes the tree man is the easiest person on the Wood Elf team to hurt, because he's the slowest. And if he does get knocked down, sometimes he's not going anywhere. And if you haven't knocked down anybody else and you're just fouling the tree man, I mean, even with if you're fouling with +2, you're not even favored to break the tree man armor. So sometimes you're fine if the opponent just keeps stepping on your tree man. The fact that it went out that early, and the Black Gobbo was in the game, I was you don't necessarily want 2 turns of fouling, or 2 fouls a turn on your Wood Elf players.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's you got such fragile armor, such small barely covered bones that are so brittle and easy to some break. I say this as someone who has yet to play against someone else, so just priming that. But yeah, I was like, I think it was like similar-ish to the game I played against Chase, where it was like you're able to kind of, once you have enough skills on your players, and you've got like blodgers, you're able to kind of weather the worst of.
Yeah, I think 3-die Morg block, 3-die Morg blitz into a blodger is like right at 50% to knock you down. Mm-hmm. And so if Morg's only knocking somebody down half the time, that means you only got 8 people on the ground through the course of the game. And then even with Mighty Blow +2, he doesn't break armor 40% of the time. Or sorry, it's actually, I guess it would be like 30% of the time. Mm-hmm. So 8 times 0.7, that's like 6 armor breaks on elves. And that's if you are like rolling statistically average, which is, we all know, is not the case in Blood Bowl. You're never going to roll exactly what you're supposed to roll.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to roll slightly better or slightly worse, or a lot better or a lot worse.
Yes.
So.
Very true. All right. Up next we had.
I was going to say, I think that game also highlighted the importance of strip ball, because there were a couple times where Morg had the ball, and I believe the War Dancer just knocked it out of his hands.
Yeah.
And then an elf scooped up the ball and went running the other way. So
strip ball is a pretty nasty skill to have.
It's a very important situational tool.
Yeah, I think that's like a thing I've noticed. I think a lot of people have been favoring some amount of strip ball.
Yeah,
that's one of those meta changes that's like happened over the course of the league.
Yeah,
interesting to see. All right, up next we got the Clobbering Catastrophe, and it's a Legion of Honesty, Honor, and Friendship. Surprise, surprise! Bomber got taken in this game.
Wow.
2-0 win.
Was it taken twice? I think it was counterspelled.
Let's see. He was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you got to do that. But yeah, 2-0 win for the Orcs of Clobbering Catastrophe. I didn't really see any of this game. I don't know if you had any extra.
The only insight that I had was there were some early casualties against the Black Orcs. Those got even out. Those were like kind of made up for in the second half. But I think by that point the damage had been done. There was like a 2-skill Black Orc that died in that game, and that kind of hurts at this point in the season.
Right.
It's not easy to get that back on track. So, it's just... it looked like there was enough damage that was done early that the regular Orcs were able to kind of coast to victory. Bryson's still new, so I'm sure he's still trying to like get his sea legs under him.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily love Black Orcs into regular Orcs. One appeal for Black Orcs is that 6 4-strength dudes, but like Henderson's team has got 4 big uns, all have block, a lot of them have guard, which means the Black Orc team could find itself out-positioned and out-strengthed.
Right.
And that's just going to be hard to overcome as a new player. You could probably do it as an experienced player, but as a new player, you're going to have a hard time. So,
yeah. All right. Next game up. This is the last game, I believe, of Nate's 3-game stand that we got to talk about this week at least. He's mostly caught up. So, Looking for Trouble and Second Act was a 1-1 draw. And I caught some of this game, and it was...
wild.
It was very interesting to watch. I don't think you typically see goblins in a scrum like they were, but Nate is fearless. And really was like getting in there with like, he had a bunch of people tied up. There's this mass of goblins and nobility just all in a ball. There were a couple players that got surfed. There were some players that probably should have gotten surfed, but did not. But the way that half ended, I think that Halen had kicked to Nate, and then Halen was able to strip the ball out in the middle of the scrum and run away with a blitzer and then score.
I don't think I've ever played a team that's as good at scrumming as Nobility. Mm-hmm. Like, if you just Civil War style march 2 battle lines of people into each other, and one team is nobility and the other team is like literally anybody else, like your opponent is throwing blocks that just don't do anything.
Yep.
And there were a lot of times I played against teams that were like stronger than me, and all that guard and all that stand firm and all that wrestle meant that you just come out ahead. Even against teams like Necro that are also really good at scrumming.
Yeah.
Necro is probably the second best team I've played at scrumming, just due to the positional nature of like the whites and the flesh golems.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't shock me that the nobility came out ahead in a scrum.
Yeah.
But the fact that the game ended in a draw is certainly interesting.
That was surprising. I didn't catch the second half. I only was able to stick around for the first half, so I was really, really surprised when I saw it end up as a draw. But I feel like if you need the Goblin team to score like a touchdown, you'll probably do that. I think like if you're trying to get the Goblin team to score like 3 touchdowns, that's going to be where you're going to be tough.
Yeah, unless you're like rolling out of your mind.
Yeah. So that was a spot where I was like, okay, but yeah. So I think Nate has like a loss, draw, and a win.
That's not bad. I mean, entering the league at 500 is very respectable.
Mm-hmm. Yes. All right. Next up, we got your game against the Wolfpack.
Yeah. So if you remember when I was talking about how Joel was like the unluckiest roller I had played against all season, we got to amend that statement. Warren rolled terribly. Now, I rolled fairly decent against Joel. Against Warren, my dice were bad. They were pretty bad. I made a comment somewhere in there that I think I would have struggled to break Snotling armor, because I had like 7 consecutive armor breaks against dwarves that were 4 or less. 3-1, 2-2, 2-1, snake eyes. Now the reason it was noteworthy is because you have the same odds of rolling 2, 3, 4 as you do 10, 11, 12, right? Mm-hmm. Because of the nature of the bell curve of the statistical bell curve for 2d6.
Right.
So every time I rolled a 4, I was like, oh, that's just as likely as if me rolling a 10. Because that's part of like if you ever play craps at a casino or something like that,
mm-hmm.
That's something. 4 and 10 are like good numbers to bet on. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I was seeing those 4s show up with like an alarming frequency. Warren gifted me 2 casualties in this game.
Okay.
He threw I think it was around 12 1-die blocks, or at the very least he rolled 12 block dice at one time. Now, he used some rerolls on them, so I think it was 12 total. It may not have been 12 total 1-die blocks, but he rolled 1 die 12 times. And so 8 of those were skulls, which is pretty bad. And so 2 of those got converted into casualties. Now he took Grim Ironjaw because he has like a classic old metal Grim Ironjaw, and it's really cool looking. He's like in this traditional troll slayer pose, and so he took Grim Ironjaw, which is not a particularly good star player in my opinion. I didn't realize that his once per game is Mighty Blow, but only against Strength 5 players.
Yeah.
So it was literally only against the Bloodspawn, and so I was just like, I just got to keep the Bloodspawn away from Grim Ironjaw, and it'll be fine. So somewhere in there, Grim Ironjaw goes to throw a 1-die block into my guard piece. Skulls. Falls over. I roll a 9 on armor break. And I'm like, is he 9 armor? Turns out he is.
Yeah, Troll Slayer.
He's a Troll Slayer. Yep. He's got 9 armor. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. They didn't even give him 10 armor. Like, this 200k piece with 4 strength and block does not even have 10 armor. Okay, fine. So I break armor and I roll the casualty. Boom, it's an injury. He's out of there. Boom, it's just gone. And I was like, well, that was really stupid, but thanks, I guess. And then like a couple turns later, he throws another 1-die block, and I break armor and casualty that guy out of the game. So I only got one. I think the Bloodspawn did manage to get a casualty in there. The Bloodspawn was very guilty of rolling the 2s, 3s, and 4s on armor breaks during the course of the game. I think he got a couple of KOs in the second half because there was like the first half was pretty much a slog. I was able to stall him out because like his whole team was based. So I had just like one guy running around in the backfield with the ball, just staying as far away from the dwarves as he could. And then the second half, once I had like a numerical advantage, that's where the dwarves were kind of like running for their lives the whole time. And so I think he had 4 people in the KO box, and I scored on like I took the ball from him and scored somewhere in there. And he went to roll for his 4 KOs and got none of them back. And I was like, incredible. Yeah. Warren said he had fun, which I have more power to him. I would not have a fun in a game if I rolled like that. I don't know. Maybe you embrace it after a couple of turns of it.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to see how bad it gets. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Up next, round 8, we got Darn Tootin' and Loki Rat Bastards. It's a 2-1 win. All of a sudden, you get scored against one time, and then everyone's deciding they can score against this dwarf team.
Yeah.
But not winning against it.
No, and I'm going to make a note of this in here somewhere. Austin is performing admirably despite having a loser record in the season. He's managing to do stuff that other people aren't. Plus, he's faced like quite a bit of adversity in this season.
Yeah, for sure.
I hope he's learned a lot with. I mean, there's no teacher like punishment. Yeah. I mean, I think this game was the one that gave Jurgen the SPP to get the runner to 5 strength. So.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that, I guess. Now it's everyone else's problem.
Yeah.
But, it'll be good. All right. Up next, we have rounded action. We had the game that I was interested in seeing how this went. The Barbarians and Tryhards.
Yeah. I'm sure. I'm sure I was not pleased with the way this game played out. He had like when I barely got to see any part of this game. When I walked by, he had like 3 people in the casualty box and like 3 people in the KO box, and that's saying something against Dark Elves, right? Like I understand if like your goblins are getting picked on when you're Black Orcs, you're gonna expect your opponent to come blitz your goblins, right? And you probably lose them at like, a fairly steady pace during the course of the game, especially against somebody like elves, where they're able to like scalpel, target. But like the Black Orcs themselves getting beat up, that's just a crying shame.
Yeah. So looking at this, it's a very interesting tour play thing where you see there's a casualty on the first turn from Ide, and then there's just 3 straight injuries for.
I'm wondering if he got crowd surfed a bunch.
Yeah, like either surf or like one of those looks like it might have been like a failed dodge or something.
Yeah, could have been.
Yeah, not really where you want to be. It's like if you're in a position to like be out players, I think especially with like Black Orcs where your team is like fairly slow and not the best at like. I mean, you have grab to act as your positioning advantage, but like you need to be able to get to people to do that. And if you're losing people, you're like all of a sudden like half your field's gonna be open for like a Dark Elf team to just kind of swarm around you.
Yeah, elves are like doesn't have the skills to punish elves. He doesn't have like tackle, and that's a real problem if you're playing against Dark Elves. And so I think he was probably just outmaneuvered. I think there's lots of situations where if the ball lands in your backfield far from the line of scrimmage, you've got your Black Orcs, they've got their elves in front of the black orcs in your backfield, and then you got your goblins desperately trying to protect the ball, and you can't keep the elves corralled enough, and then they can just go take the ball from you and then run around in your backfield for a bunch of turns. Right.
Yeah, the goblins do not make the most imposing ball defenders.
No,
so
they do not. No, they're there for stepping on people's heads.
True. All right, one more round. 8 game. This is Renegades of Funk and the Metropolitan Dumpster Rats. It was a 4-0 win. I know you were talking about teams that were, making a strong surge this part of the season. I think that this Chaos Renegade team would definitely qualify.
Yeah, all of the big guys are block pro. And Barbie said that pro meant that all of the big guys activated every single turn. So Sean was rolling pretty hot. And the big guys were like, Barbie probably doesn't have enough experience on a team that has like a bunch of big guys like this, you can try to make them commit to one side of the field, and Skaven can reverse the field on a team like this, and you can really tax those big guys' movement, and you can keep them out of the fray, and that's your goal as a Skaven player, is making sure that those big guys are nowhere near wherever the action is happening. And so she probably just doesn't have enough experience with that yet, right? Because Dark Elves are a similar thing. Like when she played Dark Elves last season, Dark Elves can do that pretty well too. You want to swap the field on your opponent multiple times if they're just trying to muscle you out of the way.
Right.
And you do that a couple of times, and maybe you get them to fail some go for it's. You have to basically trade your 2-up rolls for their 2-up go for it's. So a dodge and reposition. And you do that enough times, you can come out ahead. But when you don't have that experience and you have a rat ogre with pro just breathing down your neck, and then red ogre's messing up your dodges, and there were multiple times she was very close to having so little players that she could concede without penalty, but she had just enough come in to keep that from happening. So it's one of those where I don't know that she learned anything from that, because she's definitely still in that new player learning phase. And I made a conscious decision not to watch the game, even though it was happening at my house. Just because I think I make her nervous if I watch the game. So I wasn't going to try to do that to her. So
yeah, I think there's Sean's team, he'll just it seems funny. He's just certain points in the season, it's been struggling to score 1 or 2 points, and now it's just 4. I think it's his second 4-touchdown game this season.
Yeah, it's really easy to score points if you just annihilate your opponent's team, right?
Yes.
So
very true. All right, we have 1 game for future us, I guess, but that was last night. It was Loki Rat Bastards and Rag and Bone. It was a 2-2 draw.
Yeah, and Sean's lucky, I think, to get a draw in that game.
Yeah. So that one was very eventful from its play.
Oh yeah, Austin went back to the drawing board on a couple of players on his team, and this has been a lot of my Austin has been putting up a respectable performance despite having a losing record technically. Somebody like Sean is he doesn't give wins for free. Yeah. And so drawing with him probably feels pretty good. Now, I do worry that Austin has drawn so many games that he is now in the oops, I accidentally eliminated myself from playoff contention because I don't actually have enough wins to have enough points. Now, I think if he can rattle off a couple of wins in these last couple of games, maybe he'll make it in. He has had some trouble this season.
Yeah, I think this is I think this is an interesting case to look at too, just because he has played all 9 of his games, which is kind of a blessing for us at least, because we can talk about his whole season up to this point.
Yeah.
But it's also a curse, because if you look at the other teams ahead of him...
Yeah, there's people who are ahead of him that have played less games, and that's a bad sign.
Yeah,
right?
he has played the most games out of anyone in his division.
Yeah.
So, like, he's currently in 10th. He's 2 points behind 9th, but Ida's only played 7 games.
Right.
So that's potentially, like, that could go from a 2-point deficit to up to 8. And then in 8th place, Chris has 8 games. He's 4 points ahead. So he could, realistically, like, if we could just fast forward to where everyone else is caught up, like, right now he's only, like, a game and a half out. But he could be, like, 2.5 games.
Yeah.
So that's
it's
the
hard
kind
to
of
know.
challenge.
It's hard to know.
But, yeah, that is, I mean, he's been putting up a huge effort, and perhaps his greatest thing is contributing to, like, our In Memoriam section.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, thanks for giving us players to talk about, Austin.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on our recapped games before we do the Austin spotlight?
Yeah, I mean, still looking like. I mean, we got 2 teams, like I said, 4 win streaks: the Chaos Renegade team and the Dark Elves. They look very different. The Chaos Renegade team basically looks unchanged after every single game, except the big guys get just like a little bit better. Mm-hmm. And then the Dark Elf team, you just swap out the Dark Elves that are playing for each match, because like a number of them get beat up.
Right.
I'm interested to see how the next like week or so shakes out, because I think it's kind of like an inflection point, right? Mm-hmm. I think a number of people are gonna hit like a point of no return. See where that goes.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah. So we did have some players this week. Although you had a special segment for your In Memoriam section.
Yeah. So I was gonna say it was gonna be kind of sparsely populated. There's the games that were played last night helped out, but actually we had a couple of big celebrity deaths in the past week that I felt like were worth talking about. First up was Michael Jamal Warner, and I never really watched any of his stuff, but like he was like a mainstay of American television for decades, and so I respect that quite a bit.
Yeah, it's like multi-generational too. Like
Yeah.
I think you can point to different things that he's done. And you can say like, oh yeah, I recognize him from that. So
yeah.
Right.
Cosby Show is obviously a big one, but he had several other shows after that. So, Ozzy Osbourne. So I do think that War Pigs is probably one of the most relevant songs ever written. Like unironically, you could do the Dr. Manhattan meme, right? It is 1970. America is involved in Vietnam, and I am listening to War Pigs. It is 2001. America is getting involved in Iraq, and I am listening to War Pigs. You just keep doing that over and over and over again, right? Like, and so Ozzy had like a relatable down to earthness, right? Like the fact that his first job was like in a slaughterhouse. Right, and you're just kind of like, you know what, screw this, let's go do something else, right? I respect that, and there are lots of people from his generation that I will probably never like on a personal level, like Bono. I think it's worth saying that. So if you're ever listening to this, Bono, guess what? why don't you open up the pocketbook, maybe?
Yeah. Get off my iPod.
Yeah, right. Yeah, don't force me to listen to your crappy songs on my iPod. So, rest in peace to the Prince of Darkness.
Yeah.
And I felt like it would be fun to make fun of Hulk Hogan for probably a couple minutes straight. Because I wanted to say that I think it's amazing how far a lack of talent can take you. Wrestling is like a pretty interesting industry from like an entertainment and business perspective, because it's like such an insular community, right? Like all you got to do is just stab your coworkers in the back and you'll get ahead in the industry occasionally, right? It doesn't have to be that way, but that's just kind of the way that it is. And so, yeah, and I think Ozzy and Hulk are very interesting contrasts, because like with Ozzy, a lot of people are like, man, that sucks, rest in peace though. Especially to the dude who's like halfway responsible for the Satanic Panic. Whereas Hulk Hogan, he dies, and a lot of people are like, oh well.
Yeah, I think that the cast of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia put it best when they described him as a man with blonde, silky hair and the skin of a hot dog. So, rest how you're resting.
Yeah,
Hulk Hogan.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I think from like an objective standpoint, I'm not the biggest fan of wrestling. I've never been shy about saying that, but and the reason I said that I think it's interesting from a business and entertaining perspective is because from like a storytelling device, a wrestling match is something that's like kind of primal, right? And good wrestlers are very good at telling a story as a match develops, right? And the thing is the Hulk Hogan is not a good wrestler. He had like 3 moves. He wasn't particularly acrobatic. He just, like was popular for a while for some reason. I don't know why. Like Bret the Hitman Hart is so much better at wrestling than him. So,
yeah. Well, I hope that we're still recording this podcast whenever something happens to Goldberg. to hear what's going to go on for that. But yeah, do we have actual players to talk about?
Yeah, Hansi, the Troll Slayer for Darn Tootin' was fed to a rat ogre. And Hansi, a lot of the players that died this week all had skills. Mm-hmm. So Hansi had Mighty Blow, but he's dead now. Yeah. There was Nurkok, the cutie, a black orc for the Legion. He was a block guard piece, and that's definitely a big loss for that team. Frost Giant Loki was the Rat Ogre for Austin. Once again, another skilled player. This Frost Giant was beaten to death by a mummy. And I think this is a very good illustration of how you can't just take your big guy and crash it into the other big guy. The mummy has got 10 armor and regenerates. The Rat Ogre has 9 armor, no regenerate, no thick skull. And it's really easy to look at a 5 strength piece and look at your 5 strength piece and think, I have to blitz that with this. But you never ask yourself, what happens when that doesn't work out? Mm-hmm. And in some percentage of the time, you're going to get your Rat Ogre killed. So.
Yeah. And if it's Austin, it's like 80%.
Yeah, right. Because I think Austin's big guy, that Rat Ogre apparently had 2 niggling injuries. So that's like, he's like 25% to die on the D16 roll. But Austin's a genetic freak. Yeah. And he's got like an 80% chance for his players to die. Yeah. So, Boastful Loki was like a random lineman who died. Slag Anomaly was a zombie for the Soul Peak Dooms. Yes. He was stepped on by a goblin.
Yeah. I think the sad part of Slag Anomaly is my favorite part of looking at Jack's roster was he had Anomaly and then Slag Anomaly. So you're like, oh man, I don't know what to deal with. How much worse could this get than an Anomaly? It's like, Slag Anomaly around the corner.
The zombie name generator is truly transcendent.
Yes.
Like some week we have to do a power rankings of the tour play random name generators by position.
Bottom is gnome lineman.
Yeah.
Actually, it might be illusionist, but.
Yeah, Amazon players, their names are unpronounceable in my opinion. Yeah. I don't know where it's getting those, but it doesn't work out. We had Jazzlax. This was it was somehow he died. I don't know how he died, but it was Goblin Dirty Tricks that got him. And this was a ghoul for the Soul Peak teams. So there you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna take a quick break of that. Thank you for listening to our wrestling rant.
Our wrestling podcast.
But yeah, that's the new spinoff we're doing. But yeah, we'll take a quick break and be right back with some deep diving. All right, we are back, and we've got a new take on a deep dive topic, a little bit of a retrospective type thing.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun to kind of just talk about like how our teams have progressed throughout the season. Talk about like our strengths or weaknesses, stuff where the team's done well, stuff that the team hasn't done well, like whether the team is doing what you planned, what have you tried to improvise with so far, stuff like that. So I felt like we're two-thirds of the way through. We talked a little bit about playoffs already, but I think part of the fun of Blood Bowl is team management throughout the course of the season. So I felt like it was worth talking about that. So, where are you at with your team?
So, I guess my team, feeling pretty solid about it. I think that was just an advantage of Amazon players being costed the way they are, is that my redraft, I was able to bring over like 5 fairly developed players. Like, I think if you compared the start of my season with like the end of like Jennings' team from last season, like they had a very good like season's worth of development. So I felt good about that, and I felt like the players I was adding on, just getting some line win with that, I felt pretty comfortable just being able to I needed some sort of shielding for those players, and that was how a lot of the games have played out this season, where like my first game when I played against Henderson, I had 5 players left on the pitch, and they were all my redrafted players. Against Chase, like all the players I had left were players that I had redrafted. So they've had resilience, and I think part of that is not extending them into positions where they're in danger, which I think is a skill that I've picked up more over like the last few seasons, having been able to be like, okay, this is a player I need to protect. I think having so many blodgers on your roster is just such a huge boost to like help that survivability. And like I have most of the skills I would want over the entirety of my roster. I have a majority of the skills that I think I would want to have. So like I've got a good amount of tackle, I've got some mighty blow, have some guard, sure hands. I have a leader now, so I've got skills that I wanted going in, and I've been able to get them on most of the players. I think as far as development stuff, I think the issue with the team and just like the way the games have kind of been playing is, outside of like 1 or 2 games, not being able to really get the scoring that I would like to have. I think Amazon's, you look at a roster that has a whole bunch of dodge, you're like, oh, this is like a more finesse oriented team. They're going to be good at like putting up scores, and I think they can do that. It just hasn't always borne out that way. I think
it's a team that's kind of like how many 3+ can you roll during the course of the game? You get a lot of re-rolls, but if you're on the wrong side of the of those 3+, then your team just kind of like doesn't look as impressive as it should, for sure.
Yeah, that is 100% the issue, is not being able to get the points I would like. Another thing being, having all these resilient players is nice, but getting line movement and stuff, not being able to stay on the pitch or stay upright, has made it harder to progress them. Outside of a couple, like I would like to have some more line movement with skills. I had a couple that have gotten killed or like stat downs, so those ones have gotten like fired. But I think that would be probably the thing, is like the team hasn't progressed necessarily as much since the start of the season as I might have liked, and that's just because I do have some skills kind of waiting in the wings for when I really feel like I need to just like pop a skill off. I can do that, but big thing mostly is like having the ability to like get scores onto some of these other players, like some of these line women that don't have any skills, has been a challenge. But also having so many skills on your players makes it harder to get extra skills. So Jaguars this season have not really been doing that much for me.
Yeah, I gotcha.
They haven't gotten as many casualties as I think they should, given their like amount of blocks they've taken and the fact they have Mighty Blow.
Right.
So they're like a little underperforming. Where if I felt like I was getting more casualties with them, I'd feel like I was in a better spot.
Yeah, I always feel like the Jaguars slightly underperform and the Piranhas always overperform. Mm-hmm. That's been my experience.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty much borne out the way that I would agree. But I mean, I've got some projects for like the last third of the season. I picked up my second thrower. I'm working. I think I'm going to work that one into a sort of like a ball hawk safety. And I will not divulge my entire strategy on this show for people who I still have to play against. But I think like that one
including
is going to be... Yeah, exactly. Yes. But I think that one's going to be kind of like a piece where I do some corner experimenting, play with more of the defensive skills that I don't have. Maybe like try out, like get like a wrestle, get a strip ball, get a diving tackle. Just some cooler... Some abilities that maybe that one's going to fill in the gaps of things.
It's a little bit easier to level throwers because you can always get completions with them. Mm-hmm. Though it's always like a little risky to do like the handoff completion thing that the 2 agility teams get to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is like the concern. I think the first game that the thrower was in did not really get any SVP and was able to get like sang an MVP. So. That's looking good. And then I do have one linewoman that I'm trying to get sneaky get on, and I'm about 5 SPP from that. So that's like kind of an awkward number. It's like a touchdown and a casualty or something in an MVP. So it's an awkward spot, but I feel like if I can get that going, then I'm going to feel like I'm pretty solid. The team value is going to be, I think, lean enough to where I get the chance to take some inducements against some of the more bulked up teams heading into the playoffs. So that's kind of where I think I want to be. Like if I can get into a position where it's like I'm able to take dribble and drool against majority of the other top 8 or like majority of the rest of the playoff field, and there are not really there are 2 potential stunty teams to play against, and everyone else I like have my TV in a way where I can get things I want.
Dribble and drool actually good against stunty teams.
Yeah,
like they're crazy good against stunty teams. Mm-hmm. Because the stab is relevant against whoever they're trying to use to carry the ball. Mm-hmm. And if you're playing against a stunty team, then you're incentivized to use your treasury anyway, because they're going to try to exactly measure based off of what you are taking going into that game. And dribble drill have a nice like 190 break point, so that means you get to trade them for something that's not quite as clean.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I'm feeling. Obviously, looking to run off a couple more wins, get some stuff going in that last half. But feeling pretty good about the team.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I started kind of cold on my team. Obviously, starting the season with 3 losses like stung quite a bit. Mm-hmm. I knew I was going to struggle early on because like when I looked at what I redrafted compared to what like fresh teams were getting, I had like 1 more skill, but all my skills were concentrated on 3 people. And obviously, I think I drew the shortest possible stick that you could draw by having to play Chase in week 1. So I'm going into that game with no skills except for 3 people, and then having to play against like Morgan, a giant game 1, and then low rolling my chances to like take those big guys off the pitch with the crazy teeth. And then I had so much damage against my team that I went to the next game with 6 journeymen or something like that. So it's just one of those like cascading failure type of things. Mm-hmm. I feel like I've salvaged the team. My team's looking closer to what it was at the end of last season. Now, I didn't optimize my team to carry it over, right? I think if I were doing that, if I were to like try a multi-season corn thing again, last season I was like, I was a win away from the finals, and then so I felt like I was like 2 games away from a championship with the corn team. So that's kind of like why I ran it back. I didn't really have like an idea of what I wanted to play next anyway. I do now. So whatever happens with this Corn team at this point, I'll be retiring it for a little while. Plus, the team looked really good. It's really fun playing with good-looking miniatures.
Yeah.
So yeah, but my team looks closer to what it did at the end of last season, where we've got some skills on a wide variety of players now. There's like a handful of, like, all of Corn Cores have block now, which is great. And one Bloodseeker doesn't have block, and that's because I lost. I had a strength down on a Bloodseeker that had block. I think if I hadn't had that happen to my team, I think I would be in like prime position, more or less where I want to be. I do have 2 Bloodseekers. My block guard Bloodseeker can take an extra skill, and my one other Bloodseeker who has block currently can take an extra skill, and I don't know what those are yet. It's probably Mighty Blow on the guard dude. The just block guy, it might be guard, because what I ran into at the end of last season was getting muscled by stupid inducements. And I think if I have enough guard, I can get around that playing into some of these stunty teams. I can just have my whole team based, and if the stunty teams are taking giants and morgue and stuff like that, and they're only 2 dicing my guys, then the chances of them staying on their feet are a lot higher. So it might be guard. The block sure hands dodge Beastman. I've opted to go for like a stat up on, because I feel like that'll be slightly more powerful. If I hit strength or agility, those are obviously insane, but I think a movement is totally fine. The movement is a huge thing. That means I have to roll so many fewer go for it's. Something I've struggled with is reroll count. You can't fire rerolls, so any reroll you buy is just added to your team value. And my team is like disgusting team value. That's like the downside to Corn's. Part of the reason why the rebuy is so you have to struggle with, because your players are so expensive. Corn Gores are 70k base. The Bloodseekers are 110 base. Right? You're like Chaos Chosen, but all your dudes cost 10k more. And then you could sub out some of those players for Marauders, but like the Marauder player base, the 50k chassis for a Marauder likes to get itself into trouble. So you have to be kind of careful. Once they get some skills on them, they get pretty good. Yeah, so I've debated buying a 3rd reroll because I don't necessarily want to add more to my team value than I have, and it's really piling up. I mean, the Crazy Teeth, the thing that I would say about my team is it really comes down to how much damage the Crazy Teeth does. Now, he's still currently leading the league in casualties, and I've been playing against some stouter units at various points in the season. He's still managed to average like a casualty or so, and he's pretty reliable on KOs. But the question you have to ask yourself is, like, does he actually take 300k points from the player during the course of the game? It's really funny because at the beginning of the season, I think Chase's plan was to just keep basing him with Snotlings, and even if he kills a Snotling a turn, he won't even get to the 20k or the 300k value, right? So yeah, I mean, I'm playing Battleship over here. I'm just gonna develop an unsinkable warship, and then, I can't possibly lose.
Yes,
So.
I would like to let you keep speaking these words. I'm not gonna stop you. So. Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of in a similar reroll boat. Like, I took a leader instead of a 3rd reroll.
Leader for me is doubles on whoever I take it on. Yeah. So one of the things that I've considered is like Disturbing Presence. One because it would force the passing teams to think about where they throw. Mm-hmm. And more importantly, is it screws up bombers, which, as we've talked about extensively in this podcast, are pretty prolific. And so it's one of those where I've put some major thought into, okay, what does it look like to put like 4 disturbing presence on this team? It's like a dead skill, except against the bombers. In which case, I don't even have to be basing the bomber to really mess up the bomber's plan.
You don't even have to be standing.
Yeah, I don't even have to be standing.
Yeah. Well, if you want to determine presence, do I have a team for you? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine because you don't have to worry about winning a game, but
right.
It's fine. Yeah. Okay.
All right, there you go. That's kind of a deep dive into our teams. Kind of some soliloquies about our teams and where they're at. So.
Yep. All right, we got a week to talk about. Week 9 coming up. So we got some picks. What are your picks for?
I'm gonna go. We'll do the Johnny Carson bit, where I say the thing, and it's exactly the thing that you were thinking. Because I'm sure one of those was Those Who Wander versus Renegades of Funk.
That one's up there. I think that's that'll be a good game. I think so. That one's one that you've got a lot of. I think there's a lot of similarity in approaches to the game between these two. Like they both put a lot of time into it, and that's going to bear out into a good game.
I hope it's a good game for both their sakes. The note I put there was like an early contender versus rising star, right? I think predictably a team that has like a whole bunch of skills to start the season hasn't changed that much by this point in the season.
Right.
It looks very largely similar because I think he even fired an ogre at this point, so he's like hired back an ogre, right? So he's like back on trying to start over. He's starting ogre, if you will, whereas Sean's team started really slow and has really accelerated in his last couple of games.
Yeah, I think that is one definitely that has popped up to me. I think as far as like games that are going to be fun to talk about next week, that one's up there.
Yeah.
Are you gonna try again?
The second guess was Darn Tootin' versus the Tryhards.
I think that one will be interesting.
Okay. That's
not on my list.
Oh, okay. Well, your list was like Barbie Fred or something like that. Is that
100%? Yeah. That's gonna be. I want to see. What I would like to see is just a box score next week where we're talking and it's like 12-10 because they have just been trading off 1-turn touchdowns.
Yeah.
Every turn.
Right.
And that is just what is happening. I could like.
It would be really funny.
I want. It would be great. Yeah.
It would be really funny.
Please break some sort of scoring record in this game.
Yeah.
Rooting for both of you equally. I'll have fun. I know you will.
Yeah.
I know they'll have fun.
Yeah.
So actually, for a serious game that I'm looking at Title Terrors and the Barbarians.
Yeah, because that's like that's the last crap out of the bucket there, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's one where they're your only way into the playoffs is over someone else.
Right. Yeah, I think that one to me is like, I brought over a couple players. So we'll see like the strategy how it plays out. Where it's like I brought over a really good troll, and then a hilarious goblin.
I had trolls in the mix for most beast towards the end of the season.
Yeah, the thing is very, very good. It's a star, so you don't get to star status on a big guy without a trail of bodies behind you.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, I mean, obviously, it could be a little bit, it's the Croc score. He's got block, he's got guard. You can do some stuff. A lot of the sources are looking pretty developed. I think that'll be the thing is you see Clay's strategy was like bringing over some of his blockers and using them. If he's just like blocker versus blocker, Clay's sources are going to have an advantage over Ice Black Orcs. Like outskilling them substantially. And they're going to be faster. and that I think is going to be. We'll see how it plays out.
Will have exactly 50,000 in inducements going into that game.
I wonder what he'll take. This is why we need. I think it should just be an option. There should be a little anti-bomber button where it's like you can pay 100,000 to just like. No matter what your team is, you can pay 100,000 to prevent the other team from taking bomber.
So Coop took a wizard in the playoffs of last season to frog bomber on the kickoff.
Yeah.
And like, trust me, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. They can make it flavorful. Like there could be like some sort of eagle star player that can swoop down and pick up a goblin and pull it off the pitch or something. I don't know. Something. Give us a way to kill a bomber, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. What other games are sticking out to you?
I know we usually shy away from our own games, but I felt like your game versus John Jennings is a big one.
Yes.
That's the top of the brackets over there, duking it out to see who gets to pull ahead, basically.
Yeah, that is. I'm luckily getting right north of $200,000 in inducements.
Yeah. So, interesting. Four bombers.
Yes, exactly. That'll be 100%. It is my righteous and noble triple and troll versus their uncivilized, brutish bomber. It's exactly that.
My skilled fouling with sneaky get and dirty player and a bonus.
Yeah.
Versus their disgusting sneaky get only.
Yeah. No, it's gotta go. I mean, I think our game is gonna be interesting. I'm like a little bit in the catch-up phase, so I'm playing like slightly out of sequence for this one. But it will be interesting to see how it plays out. Like this is out of my remaining schedule, I think I'm like 50-50 on games of people above me or like right around me in the bracket and people who are like kind of closer to the bottom. So I'm hoping, I mean, if I come out of the season with like a 50%, if I win like half those games, I'll be happy.
Yeah. When do you think our game is? Do you think it's more dramatically appropriate for it to be the final week?
I mean, I don't know. It's
of the season.
We can make it dramatic no matter when it happens. So I'm not worried about that. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be like, this one does have some implications for just standings.
Yeah. In
the league. So.
Yeah, and it's too early to say exactly when you would want, like, if you were trying to dodge a specific player, right? I don't know where you would want to be in the standings. I think you want to be towards the top of the standings, right? But like, I mean, Will's team is currently in 7th.
Yeah.
Right. And I wouldn't necessarily want to play against that as Corn.
Right.
You know,
it's just a boatload skills.
Yeah, I'd much rather play against like Jim, and Jim is in 6th over in that division.
Yeah,
right. So there's some really stout competition. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. It's hard to say.
I think this to me is the most interesting. The standings have looked over the course of a season.
Quite some
in
time.
A while. So.
Yeah, quite some time.
Excited to see how it all plays out. Yeah. Did you want to check who are you playing this week?
I am playing Jack. So
yes.
I'll get a chance to play against him. I don't know when that's going to happen. I'm headed to Gen Con, but I'll be back in time for next week's podcast. But I probably won't get the game in with Jack, considering I have tonight only to get that game in, and it appears that you have to schedule your game 2 weeks out with Jack. Just about.
Yeah.
To get it to work, but we'll be I'll be back next week, and I'll probably chat with him Discord since then. So.
Currently, quite a bit of money being given in that game. Obviously, the mummy is a question mark. But
yeah.
He doesn't have to hire another mummy, but even then, he's still getting over 400,000.
So. I'll be playing against Luther then, I guess.
Yeah,
which is fine. I mean, Luther of the really expensive players, Luther's not that bad. You can deal with Luther. He's a really good piece, but he's not. I don't think he's like oppressive. Doesn't have mighty blow. Doesn't even have dodge. Like 5 strength, yeah, that's quite a bit. Sure, he's a halfway decent ball carrier, but he's not like crazy mobile. He does like hypnotic gaze does make playing around it like a little tough, but yeah, I don't know. I have played one game this season where I have not played against a star player, and at this point, it's probably just going to be that game.
Yeah,
So maybe if I still haven't played Jennings, it's entirely possible that when I play Jennings, he won't have a star player.
Yeah,
because his team is up there in value as well.
Gotta watch out for Bryce the Slice. Yeah, I think that is pretty much going to do it.
Yeah, that'll wrap it up this
week. Thank y'all for listening. Make sure wherever you're listening to this, you give us a follow, like, subscribe, pin, repost. I don't know. Put us in your top 8 on your MySpace page. All those good things. Yeah, appreciate
Link us on your bulletin board.
Yes. Write some scrawling posts about us on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Some AI generated.
Yes.
Some AI generated slop. I saw a picture of the AI generated slop of Hulk Hogan where he was sideways in the coffin, and there was like a dog peeking in it. It's like, bury me sideways in my coffin, brother. Make sure my dog is there. I thought it was really funny.
Yep. Well, resting, Hulk Hogan, I guess. We'll be alright. That's where we'll cut it.
We were signing off.
Yep. Yeah. Hopefully no other big wrestlers died this week. Fingers crossed. Bye.